So here we are on the connection field of the good of the whole. And we have the trust frequency embodied. The dance of souls is what we're going to explore with Wowza, Elisa Lodge, and Andrew Cameron Bailey. And I'm Connie Baxter Marlow.
And today's subject is?
And today's subject is self-love.
I love me.
So we're going to have a conversation about self-love, because our foundational principle for this dance of souls, we have an online course called the Dance of Souls, the Relationship Revolution. And the foundational principles around who we are as humanity is what we've been discussing for the past 2 or 3 weeks. And we have a definition of humanity. And I'm going to put it up on the screen because it just to refresh what we've been talking about. So I'm going to share the screen. I think I'm going to share the screen, share screen.
There you go.
And I'm going to, what is it? Share screen. Share screen. There. I'm going to share this screen. And here we are. We have humanity. Do you want to read it, Andrew?
I'm supposed to know it by heart.
Supposed to know it by heart.
Humanity is a collection. Humanity, that's us. A collection of divine, autonomous, sovereign beings who have chosen to incarnate on earth to learn and grow on our soul's journey to wholeness, each with an individual purpose and a unique gift.
So we've talked about free will, and that's that we've chosen to incarnate on earth, to learn and grow on our soul's journey to wholeness. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is our journey to wholeness. And that journey to wholeness is our journey to self-love and self-acceptance and alignment with our divinity and our purpose. So we'd like to, I'll stop sharing the screen now, and we'd like to just have a conversation about this journey to self-love. And I'll just introduce it with the principle behind this Dance of Souls course, because it's very important that we chose to incarnate on this journey to self-love, meaning that we have aspects of ourselves we don't love yet. And that's why in many people and religions and whatever belief systems believe that we keep coming back. We incarnate and incarnate over and over as we are on this journey to alignment with our divinity, to understanding that we are beloved, that we are the most amazing thing that ever happened, as roving sensory organs of the divine, as Andrew puts it. So that's a fundamental belief, that we keep coming back until we get to that state of self-love and alignment with our divinity. And then we go and hang out in the beautiful joy of wherever it is, whatever it is.
The heavenly zone.
The heavenly zone, the higher frequency of consciousness that we're all going towards collectively and individually.
So I have a question.
Yes, darling.
My question is, we come in as these adorable little people, right? These amazing little beings. Have you ever met a baby who wasn't adorable? And how did that baby grow up and forget how adorable he or she is? How did we do that? In other words, we have to go on this whole journey to learn to love ourselves, and yet we're totally adorable at the beginning. What happened in between? How's that for a question?
Well,
Something happened, didn't it?
something happened, but when we incarnate, even as that little baby, that baby has certain experiences, and that baby incarnated into a family, that baby incarnated this is for the free will piece, the overarching act of free will, that baby incarnated on this journey. Like, I thought I was going to raise the most perfect kids that were never going to have any issues, because I was such a conscious mother and I took them to healers and I was so cool. But what I realized was, hey, guess what? They're on their journey. And all I can do is, and I'm on my journey and my husband's on his journey, and we're all in this thing together called the single family unit, the nuclear family thing that we made up here. And here we are, just all in this cauldron of experiences that we chose, that we all chose. And one basic element of this belief system is that it's all love, that it's a loving universe that comes to give us the experiences we need for that journey. And so that baby, say it incarnates and it has a rough birth, or it has to be in an incubator for months, or it's just skin to skin with its mother forever. Everybody has a different experience, and according to this construct, we chose those experiences. That baby in that incubator for 2 months who was a premature baby, and what it gets from it, of abandonment, of
missing the skin to skin
contact, having trouble having then on making bonds, whatever its journey is from that. And Wowza that incarnated into some really challenging experiences as a child. So that's what I just wanted to put on the table, is that journey to wholeness, that journey to self-love. And all that we go through in our life, all the relationships we bring into our lives, consciously and unconsciously, because we told the universe, okay, universe, take me on this journey. And circumstance, we say circumstance loves us more than we do, because circumstance is going to take us on this journey to bring our gift and to align with our divinity and to move into, hey, guess what? I am magnificent. Do you have any thoughts on that, Wowza? Unmute yourself, babe.
Well, my whole journey definitely has been, I did all the past lifetimes in this one. I started from total lack of self-love. Even as a baby, I think my mother had lost a child a year before that she dearly loved desperately, and he ruptured his appendix on a baseball field and died in the ambulance. My father taught him not to express his feelings. So the moment I swear I did once a regression, and I saw the incredible fear on my mother's face, and she never released it. She was always afraid I was going to die on her, so she had to overprotect me. So that was my early beginnings. But yet I must say, I know extremes, and having had some incredible moments where it was through performance art and acting that I realized that I could choose the role that I wanted to play. A victim role was thrust on me, and I believed it, but it was in the acting of stepping into the shoes of a radically different part, and then another pair of shoes and another pair of shoes. Hey, my God, we can change our state. And so why not choose a state that is all loving and try that out for size? Right. And I would work with people in all my work as an expressive arts therapist, of having them balance their unlovable part in one hand and their lovable part, that they are the very source of love in the other hand. And then to begin to feel the weight, the body language, just even holding the one hand of unlovableness. I mean, you could just see it so clearly. And then the whole job was, I can choose. I can identify with this unlovable one. I can identify that I'm the very source of love. The choice is mine.
Wow. You know, it's just so interesting, Wowza, that we keep coming back around to theater and the stage. The choices we make to play a role and the choices
Yeah.
we make as we become that character who is not real in a certain sense, and yet probably just about as real as any other persona that we manifest, right? Because somehow we are here, we're playing these roles in search of what? In search of our true self?
Mm.
That's a possibility. So what does that mean? What a wonderful question to investigate and to learn that theater, the play acting that we do as little children, cowboys and Indians,
Yeah,
or whatever it
exactly.
was when we were little people, right? We would
They knew.
Yeah.
They knew how to unleash the very parts that their parents and the world, the society, oh, this is just insignificant, silly play. It's not worth anything. That was their safeguard. That's how they could release the energies that were so blocked in mostly the home scene, but it wasn't given any worth. Now there's amazing research on the play of genius, on that, from Einstein on down. I know of no other way to approach great tasks than as play. Einstein.
Mm.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, so interestingly, that all those experiences, not being recognized, not, whatever they are, have all served our particular journey. Whatever we took from that of not being recognized, oh, I'm not okay. No, they're not paying attention to me. They're not acknowledging this beautiful flower that I'm acting out and nurturing that flower.
Right.
Okay, so then we take it in, oh, I'm not a beautiful flower. I'm just little old stupid me. Okay, and then our journey goes from there, remembering that day that that flower wasn't recognized, and that day that we shrunk in and said, oh, okay, I'm not okay, because that's part of this hero's journey, that we acquire these wounds and then we keep bringing, because that's how we feel about ourselves. That's the piece of ourselves we came to learn to love. I'm stupid. That was stupid of me to pretend that I was a flower. So I'm stupid. And so that comes in and that sits there. And then we bring in experiences that tell us we're stupid. Oh, I'm stupid. That, I didn't do well in school, or that person just put me down because I'm stupid. So all through our lives, we bring in relationships and circumstances to show us what we feel about ourselves. It's not what the circumstance or the person thinks about us. It's about the person showing us the mirror to the part of ourselves we don't love yet, that we came to learn to love. So it's the job we came here to do. So there's no shame, there's no blame. Like, oh, you created all this stuff, this nasty stuff in your life. You're bad and wrong. No, 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 no. The loving universe came to us to show us those parts we don't love yet, that we have work to do, that we came to do. So it takes the victim perpetrator model that we're so enmeshed in. We're totally enmeshed in victim perpetrator, blaming the other, and it flips it to beneficiary benefactor. So we ultimately, once we get into this understanding in this paradigm, we say, okay, thank you. That bully in school. Okay, if we teach our kids, oh, that bully in school is actually reflecting a piece that you don't love about yourself. What piece of that is it that bully is beating up on and saying that you're whatever? Okay, but we go into the victim with the bully. So it's a huge flip. So any thoughts?
Well, I'm thinking about Wowza. Did you say you were going to have to leave a little early this evening? So let's give you the floor as much as possible, so that when you have to go, we'll miss you, but we'll fill in. And you're muted, so don't forget to unmute.
That's interesting what you said, that each person that comes into our life, I don't know where it started in my groups, having done groups for 50 years. But I would have people in a circle always, and I would have them look at each person in that circle. And usually I took a lot of time with this. I do a lot with the eyes. And I would suggest that each person came here as a facet of our own identity, usually hidden. And, mostly in groups, there's still all this kind of stuff for these strange people. And, it always takes a while to get them bonding. But doing this, it was amazing how people were suddenly supportive. I would say more. I would say, see, the more we show of ourselves, the more each one of us is willing to be vulnerable, to be more transparent, we will be able to see more clearly. Oh, that person is so different from me. I couldn't even remotely think like that or do the things that she does. Wait a minute. Go a little deeper. And then I would do even role playing where they could take on a little of my quality, let's say, and I could take on a little of your quality. And then see, what are these two qualities creating? What's the third force?
That's beautiful.
And amazing how quickly, people would literally pop out of the box. But there was such a beautiful thing, like you could see, go a little deeper from their heart. Are they coming more from, their gut, in terms of more earthy energy? I love working with elements. Some people are really up high, and other people are very heartfelt. And then I would say, where do you register in those elements? You more earthy, more airy, more fiery, more flowing? And say, well, I'm very earthy. Let's say, oh, who's here then of the air? What would it be like in your earthiness not to leave it? That's your signature. Beautiful. But what would it be like? Whoa, to lighten up, to get a little air on the subject, right? And the same with the fire person, always fired up. And, when he drives everybody crazy, he can burn up, because he's so totally fire. But there's an airy person, there's an earthy person, to be able to balance the forces at large. And that was where we would come away. My gosh, I'm so much bigger than I thought. And that's where the self-love started to grow. That there is no one that we are not, from which all of us arise, is the soul of love.
That's so cool. And so bringing in that concept of oneness, that we are the universe.
Yeah.
We are all of those aspects. And to play with them. With all the different ones. I would love to do that, and I always felt sorry for myself that I was born a white New England girl, because I would love to be a Black person who's got that rhythm and that dance and that you know, all that.
That's looking pretty good, Connie. Leave it in. It's looking good. Every time I see you, I'm seeing a new facet.
Oh, nice.
I'm seeing changes galore.
Oh, wow.
And yet years dropping off. That's the other benefit of self-love.
The hair. it's
We
the
get younger, we get more vital, we get more enlivened because there's less chicharero, a blockage of, you know, I can't be with that person, that person, that person. You know, we've got so many barriers that we don't breathe. We don't stretch our bodies very much in that. So it pays off. So that's the other thing. The benefits of self-love are enormous.
Yeah.
Enormous. We have relationships then that are obviously going to flow more freely, wouldn't you say? I mean, the less self-love, the more arduous relationships.
Well, yeah,
They're
because
more-
we're bringing
the
in
power
people-
struggles.
Yeah,
the
we're
power
bringing in experiences and people to show us those parts of ourselves we don't love. If we get it into the light and release it, then we don't have to bring in those experiences anymore. So as we change ourselves, we change the world around us. We change how people relate to us, what people say, because our soul actually magnetizes behaviors and actually what people say to us, how people treat us. Our soul is actually asking for that. So it's really a fascinating way to look at this whole thing of relationships. They're there to show us our light and all those aspects that you're talking about, you know, all those different pieces of ourselves and of others that could be us if we'd let go and walk into that. Oh yeah, I can try on. I can let it loose and be just everything that I think I could possibly be.
And they say, I mean, that theater was the first religion. And the shaman, the thousands of years that could put on the eagle headdresses and the robes and stand at the top of the hill, and everyone knew it was an eagle. It could fly over the horizon and see where new land was, where they could grow better food. And so they say he was the first sacred actor that could embody for the tribe to keep the energies alive. And so sacred theater then was if someone had to go fight the tiger, step out of the cave and come back trembling, you know, with this experience of finally beating the tiger. The next day, the tribe would break up into camps. One camp would begin to enact the fear of the guy, the hunter, in all of their wild movements. And then the other half would take on the tiger. So then the hunter had an opportunity in this theater to actually begin to engage with a tiger. And so this kind of process was like the first education, was enactment. And I really feel that performance art is almost the new spirituality, where we're going to have arenas of coming out with the great archetypes, you know, why not play the great love of life and play all of the, you know, the shadow parts with love, so that we can all begin to see, oh yeah, I can identify, oh, there it is. You mean I can actually begin to shift so readily? And wow, what a great background I've had. Now I know what it feels like to have a loss of love. And the contrast of the two is heaven on earth. Real choice is possible.
Yeah, bringing that shadow into the light.
Yeah.
And releasing it. And
Yeah.
acknowledging it, loving it, because that's what we're doing as a culture right now. Oh my goodness. And as a species, bringing out those contrasts, those shadow parts, and accusing and blaming and all that stuff. So it's just a key part of this ascension process to a higher frequency, because the shadow pieces are lower frequency, and the earth moving into this higher frequency now, we've got that work to do to keep up with her. And so it's all bubbling up to the surface so that we can all move into a higher place.
And coming so much from a head-centric world, we've lost the energetics, a lot of the energy continuum underneath all of the dramas. And also I would have people, well, let's look at that judge and let's enact the judge, sit down, behave, you listen to me. And there was, again, the very energy that person needed in her quiet, shy little voice when she could consciously play the judge. Out came this huge, boisterous voice that she had never heard before in her life. And so that was another thing that we create people to give us the very energy we need to balance out our fullness of the fullness, the loving fullness of energy, the one energy of creation.
Yeah, Andrew's just loved your sacred acting coaching, and he's got lots of different personalities in there.
Wouldn't that be fun, Andrew, for all of us? I mean, to really create, that's where I see ensemble, small little groups of people enacting these roles for the world. I mean, how fun is that? And loving them all, loving the energy that they hold.
Well, with the technology now, it's so portable. We have really professional Hollywood quality cameras, for example.
Right.
So we could go and do an ensemble retreat and turn it into a movie.
Oh, yes.
For the outrageous fun of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Movie. I mean, it just is just so inspiring. So, we think this is work. And sometimes it feels like work, but there's this thing that we call play, and there's this thing that we call work, and there's this thing we call secular, and there's this thing we call sacred. And yet somehow our minds have divided ourselves, we've fragmented ourselves into these different phenomena. And so once we integrate ourselves and come to what Connie was talking about, namely self-acceptance, self-love, self-esteem, I think one of the biggest problems on this planet with our species is a lack of self-esteem. We can't imagine that we are magnificent, that we're
never heard it.
Right? We've never received
never heard of school? Never heard that in school.
That mirror has
always what was wrong, what was the failure grade,
in
speaking out of hand over.
Yeah. We spend a lot of time with the Bushmen of the Kalahari, and the way they are with their children is so amazing, because there's really no hierarchy. That child has as much say as the old grandmother or grandfather. And I think those children in their ancient state, which is no longer, but from what I've studied them a lot, and there's a different way. And I to think of what culture actually treats their children, holds up a mirror of just love and acceptance. And they never have that kind of doubt.
No.
Yeah.
Right. And look with the music, the rhythms, the shakeouts. In other words, all parts of the body are expressing itself. We are all, one pointed, move your head. It's like we're machines, Everything is very machine-like, blank faces as we do our exercises. There, the whole body is in joy, is in, moving through emotional energy as sacred. It's all part of the dance. So that alone, can just do so much, bring more music, more. But I'm saying in the kitchen, like right now, I'm standing, I'm usually on a ball, but there was a little jukebox in the behind my knees. And so I was standing in line at the bank, I mean, it doesn't matter where. So I feel that there's also a new body language of love coming in, where all the parts are enjoyed or have voices and can express, what words could never express. And our voice can have so much more potential to be alive.
And by that, you mean, I think you mean self-love.
Yeah.
This body language that just somehow
Boy.
shows the world how we feel about ourselves.
Yes.
If we're staggering along like a
right,
with the burden of the world on his or her back, to someone who's just floating or bouncing or undulating through life. Yeah.
And the sad part is that person, very few people actually are aware that that's what they're doing. They might see a little pouch, for a tummy, and they're trying to get loose, but they don't quite see the character that has the environment has shaped them into. And that's a part that so much of our world, we're separate to separate beings, rather than who has had this kind of information is that you're bringing, that's really coming on in the world now, that everything is interpenetrating, everything is interconnected, and that the more we feel our wholeness and can express our wholeness, that for me is just the beginning of real self-love. But if I believe I'm separate, I have to protect, I have to defend. And that it gets so ingrained in our nervous system, very, very hard. And then, but that's where the body language comes in, like, wow, you can be this too. You can try that, all of these possibilities are available now.
And you talk about protection. See, what happens on this journey to wholeness, to self-love and self-acceptance is that we put on a mask that says, okay, society, I'm cool, I'm happy, I'm a good girl, I'm successful, I'm going to study hard in school and get the right grades and tell the teacher what I want, what she wants. And meanwhile, there's all this going on behind this mask. And so there's a lot of life and expression that wants to be heard. And there's also those parts that we don't love yet, our shadow behind this mask. And what our ego self that comes into play to show up and protect our soul self, really. Our ego self doesn't want this to be seen because our ego self has been so successful, but our soul self desperately wants it seen. So the ego self has protective mechanisms to protect this mask, this image that we've put out. So when somebody comes and says to us something that makes us feel stupid, okay, it goes into our stupid tape. Okay, so what we do is we attack that person and protect ourselves. We have various mechanisms that we use to protect ourselves. We either back off, go away, get them out of our lives, make them bad and wrong, get them on the defensive. So they're being the one who's the bad and wrong person and the stupid person, not you. So there's this whole dance, we call it the dance of souls.
Gosh.
That we
exhausting.
It's exhausting, but it's very, very real. And so that's what this course is doing, is going in and making us aware of those defense mechanisms. What do? Do we talk a lot? Do we become really shy? Do we know it all? Do we make the people bad and wrong? You know, how do we protect our mask? So that's really important thing to become conscious of, what our defense mechanisms are that our ego self has in place to protect the soul self. But the soul self really wants to be known, but this is a journey, a hero's journey, a heroine's journey. And so it's a whole lifetime. I mean,
well,
you know,
maybe
you and I are in this
maybe
dance, we're in
it,
our 70s.
maybe it could be a little quicker. I mean, like the sacred mask work that I've done. I mean, taking people in, I mean, through mask after mask, after mask, after mask, after mask, after mask. And then wait a minute. And then have them in the mirror, look at their face and begin to see, I mean, after they have gone through, let's say 10 different masks, extreme different qualities, it can happen relatively fast. Of wow, I mean, I've been walking around with this frown and saying, yeah, I love you, you know, and not really know because it's so identified that that's its face. It doesn't, it would, I mean, for 50, there is nobody that says I'm wearing a mask. They will fight to the death to say they're not wearing a mask, right? Because it's so much them. They have had no experience of, wait a minute, what is possible? That's why I have people playing with 1,000 different expressions on their face and going, well, what kind of face do you want to have? Okay, let's play with, I'll show you mine. Let's see what yours is. And then there's the face below all the masks. And I feel that that face, you know, is the face of love. And it can take on everybody's expression for just a moment. I am you. I am you. And when this work that I'm doing in an hour, 40 minutes with China, I have 30 people, 25 in all those little squares. One of the first things I do is have them mirror each other's faces as their expanded self.
Whoa.
Can they take on a little bit? Can they, if that person has a little giggly thing happening, oh, isn't that, oh, I like that, that's cool. And because for the most part, when they get on, they all have blank faces, serious blank faces. Just very nice, but hardly anything called, you don't lose face. So this is radically different for them to take on a face, let's say, and then I have them mirror me, you know, I mean, you know, to take, that's where I do the ahs and the ohs and the ohs. It just because see, they've never smiled and radiated, let's say that, oh, yeah. I mean, that's like, you know, out to lunch, or whoa, you know, to be decisive and strong and all this, go, whoa, and the ooh, and and oh, I mean, it's like, wow, you know, that they find that they have an original face that can then reflect all faces as God.
Beautiful, really.
Yeah.
Really, that's so inspiring that you're delivering that exuberance to China.
I know. It's a riot. That a wild woman got through the borders to stir up some, you know. But what's happening now, it's creativity here too. But I mean, really over there, they have been taught over and over again what to do. They're machines. Left, you know, the left brain, smart, I mean, forget feelings, work hard, get the high grades. I mean, they're driven to be perfectly smart. And for them to open up that to their feeling base is an extraordinary leap. And until that can happen, this is their face. And to have this mirroring game and what I call sketching and tracing, just sketching and tracing people's quality and tone, and keep feeling, oh, now I've got a little Connie in me. See, oh, I've got a little Andrew in me. Yes. See, it's just that little taste, and oh, I like that. I like that. Oh, yeah, I'm filling out here a little more. I'm less shy over here. Thank you. And then going around, thank you for your gifts.
You've been working in China for some time now, right?
15 years. Yeah.
15 years.
15 years. This is the first one on Zoom.
Right.
And it's like, oh gosh, it's different, but in terms of this process, in those little squares, people can take a little more time. It's almost, I'm amazed how much intimacy can actually happen in this medium. Yeah. And then they have the little breakout rooms and do, it's all partner work, and, to be able to open up now this we space they call, or this unified field, that there's a whole, that's, I like too, taking it off of the burdens of the past, give it a rest just a little bit. And then what is emerging from 95% dark matter, this invisible, unknown, I want to say our future self.
Yeah,
What would you like to step, to kind of dive into that? And another thing starts to happen. All of a sudden, they're brand new. This can happen pretty fast. Wow, I'm a future self coming back to coach my little self. Oh, and then I have little dialogues with the future self, with the little victimized child in that Chinese person. And then switch roles. And it's all there. That was what I come away with. It's all there already. To have someone who is unbelievably uptight and shy and just, can barely talk. I've had them switch into a really toughy, little bully type. Oh, almost instantly. Bam, 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 bam. Where the hell have you been hiding that? And I said, well, I was never allowed to ever act like that. I mean, oh, that would have been terrible. Well, how do you feel now that you've had just a little taste of the bully? Not that I want, to become a bully. It's the energy behind these roles that we're wanting to pull out. The role is a subterfuge, right? I mean, it's a facade. I want to say it's a facsimile of the real McCoy. And the real McCoy is the energetics of life itself, the aliveness of our lives.
Wonderful, Wowza. I think it might be getting to be your...
I know it. Thank you. I got to go.
Please let us know how that goes. You're wonderful. We adore you. And we're learning to adore ourselves.
I know. Isn't it great? I mean, this is it. This is it. We're bonding and we're coming together, like-minded people, and just sharing our gifts like this, because other people can say, yay, let's join the club of wholeness.
Yeah, and I would just say that all those experiences that you're speaking of, the guy who was the
Right.
reserved, and the one becoming the bully energy or whatever, all these experiences are evolving the divine.
Yeah,
Everything
exactly.
we do,
Everything.
everything we do and are serves our journey, serves the
Mm.
collective journey, serves to
Absolutely.
evolve the divine.
Mm.
Serves the entire universe. I
Serves-
mean, as crazy as
Oh,
that
I gotta go. I gotta
Because
eat
you-
and run.
Okay, see you, Wowza.
Yay.
to China. So there you are.
So there you are. And there's some people out there on Facebook land that we could try bringing in. It says bring them on camera. I don't know if we can do that. But
Just trying
what you
something.
doing?
Don't you see you can now flip these around?
It's all right. It's all right. So let's see. Let's try. I don't know if I can do it. Your friends won't be able to watch this live unless they're in your selected audience. I don't know. Let's see what happens. If I bring, I don't know if I can do it from my phone. I don't know. We'll have to learn this.
You're
So-
trying to figure out how to get someone who's on Facebook Live to
Yeah,
be able to join us on Zoom.
yeah.
Oh,
So I don't know. So we'll see. Let's see. What am I doing here?
why don't you pin that? Yeah.
yeah.
There we go.
So anyway, that was quite an experience. She's so wonderful. Wowza.
Wowza's really, friends, Wowza is something. She's extraordinary. She's a wonderful, wonderful actor and a wonderful, wonderful teacher. And in the realm of what she calls sacred acting, I regard her as my sacred acting coach, which is sort of a shamanic role in my personal life. It's remarkable.
Yeah, and she's 84 years old.
I mean, can you believe she's 84 years old? I mean,
Yeah.
I remember when that sounded old. And boy, she just gets younger every time you talk to her.
So I
Mm.
guess we'll just close here and have a little discussion about this journey to wholeness and
Why
this
don't
dance
you-
of souls.
Yeah, why don't we just bring it back around? You remember at the beginning, we said this is about self-love, self-acceptance. And I asked the question, well, why don't we just automatically love ourselves? Why don't we just automatically accept ourselves? Why don't we automatically have 100% self-esteem? Because we don't, do we? So something in our human experience, in our families, in our upbringing, in our schools, whatever it is, the mirror that we are presented with says, hey, be quiet. You're not good enough. You're smaller. You're less important than something or someone.
Right.
So it's, to me, it's kind of interesting to wonder, what is that mechanism and how do we get over it? How do we learn to love ourselves, learn to accept ourselves, Connie?
Well, from the perspective of this course, we came in to have those experiences. Okay, so they're all serving us. So that person that points at us and says, you're less than, our soul actually asked for that person to do that so that we could get the wound around, okay, you're small, you're less than, because we have that wound, and then we bring people in through our heroines and heroes journey to show us that we have that piece of ourselves that needs to learn to love the fact that it is divine, that it is magnificent. So is that clear?
Well, I'm still trying to figure out, firstly, why we don't why
Because we're on this soul's journey. Because the souls came in
so what's the purpose of this?
is to
We came
come
with a
in
purpose. So what's the
to
that
learn to
aspect?
love ourselves.
Okay.
Those pieces of ourselves we don't love yet. So we came in and said, loving universe, take me on this journey. Circumstance is going to show up. People are going to show up to show us those parts of ourselves we don't love yet, so that we can transmute it, do the work of transmuting it and bringing it into the light and releasing it. So this is the whole of humanity. This is what we've been doing for all of creation, is we've been processing these shadow parts of ourselves that we haven't, that we don't, because we're in this lower frequency. All the systems that are put in place are out of balance. And so ultimately, to bring peace on earth, it's going to have to be a time when there aren't any souls who come in to be a victim of war, to be a victim of starvation, to be a victim of this scarcity thinking that we're in this lower frequency. You see, it's just a perfect play, as Wowza says.
Okay.
Okay, so it's these souls who need this work. It's this humanity's doing all this for the rest of creation to transmute these lower frequency feelings and feelings of scarcity, separation, fear, and less than what we're doing on it. Does that make sense? Am I making myself clear?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure something out. It's my understanding that we come from a place of divine love before we come here, and then we individuate. We're born on this planet, and we come through this human experience and return to that place of divine love.
Right. So these young souls,
having learned these lessons, I'm imagining that this reality that we experience here is some kind of educational experience, some kind of school, some kind of university, right?
Yeah.
And so we come from the oneness, we return to the oneness, but we come out into this multiplicity of human possibilities as people.
Right.
And that's hard. Partly because what? Partly because we're separated from the one. So that's got to hurt. That's got to be tough. I mean, when I'm in my mother's womb, I'm completely not separated, right? I'm absolutely nurtured. And that's kind of a metaphor for the...
But you incarnated to that mother who's having some experiences that is actually affecting you in the womb.
Got it.
Okay,
Got it.
so like your mother was in the World War.
I was born toward the end of World War II in Coventry, England, which was the most destroyed city in England during World War II. And I know that my mother must have been going through horrible feelings of fear and just the horror of hearing the news on the radio. Back in those days, there was no television.
Right.
And
so you incarnated to that experience.
So as that little
in your birth
embryo
experience.
who becomes me.
Yeah. So you incarnated. So it's in alignment with the idea that there are young souls and old souls. You know, that whole thing, that it's an evolutionary process that this soul goes through. It coming in as a young soul, as an older soul. So I mean, I don't know. You know, this is just a construct that says this is a journey to self-love and self-acceptance. And it's a loving universe that's taking us on that journey. And we're doing it for all of creation as an individual and as a culture, as a species.
As a collective of humans,
So it looks like it's time to go.
We are getting there. So this has been an investigation with Wowza, who had to leave us to go teach in China. On Zoom. That's remarkable. And the investigation here has been the journey to self-acceptance and self-love. Do you think we got somewhere?
I hope so. We can just ask people who've been on with us on Facebook Live what they think if we've helped with this understanding that this course, the Dance of Souls, and you can get to the Dance of Souls on the trustfrequency.net and just go to the Dance of Souls. And we also have a free ebook called The Conscious Loving Universe you can get from our Trust Frequency website. So there's a lot you can get from there. And so hopefully we've given an idea of this construct of a soul coming in on this journey to self-love and self-acceptance into this conscious loving universe and giving permission, an overarching act of free will. It says, loving universe, you can take me on this journey to wholeness. And that's love. Everything, absolutely everything in our life happens for us, not to us, even if it's abuse, even if it's whatever it is. That's this construct that takes that big flip from victim perpetrator to beneficiary benefactor, from victim to beloved. So let's sign off
And that's a very, very liberating understanding of the nature of reality, friends. So we're going to end this and we'll see you next week. And
thanks much.
many blessings.
Many
Happy holidays.
blessings. Yeah, happy holidays. I've got my Christmassy, we got Christmassy stuff on. So
Well, it's obviously working.